Galadriel is one of the most powerful beings left in Middle-earth. She's over 7,000 years old. She's seen the 2 trees of Valinor with her own eyes. She wears Nenya, one of the 3 rings, which gives her power to preserve and protect, on a scale no other elf can match. She's so powerful that Sauron himself fears what would happen if she claimed the One Ring. So why doesn't she fight? When Sauron's armies march on Minas Tirith, when the Nazgul hunt Frodo, when everything hangs by a thread, Galadriel stays in Lothlorien doing nothing. At least that's what it looks like. But here's the truth. Galadriel is fighting. She's been fighting the entire time, just not with swords. What she's actually doing is far more dangerous, far more exhausting, and far more crucial to Middle-earth survival than any battle. This is why Galadriel doesn't fight directly in The Lord of the Rings. And the answer reveals everything about how power actually works in Tolkien's world. Let's start with what Galadriel is doing during the War of the Ring, because most people completely misunderstand this. She's not sitting peacefully in Lothlorien, having tea parties with elves. She's holding a shield, an invisible shield of immense power that's protecting the entire realm from Sauron's will. Nenya, the Ring of Adamant, gives her the power to preserve things, to keep them as they are, to resist change and decay. She's been using this power for the entire Third Age to keep Lothlorien safe, not just from orcs or physical attacks, but from Sauron's corrupting influence. Think about what that means. Sauron's power radiates from Barad-dûr like poison. It spreads across Middle-earth, corrupting, weakening, making people despair. Everywhere his influence reaches, things decay faster, hope fades, evil thrives. But Lothlorien is different. In Lothlorien, time moves strangely. The trees don't age, the seasons barely change. Evil things can't enter. Even the Fellowship feels it when they arrive. Sam says it feels like being inside a song, where nothing can hurt you. That's Galadriel's power. She's using Nenya to hold back the darkness, every single day, every single moment. And it's not easy. Tolkien makes this clear in his letters. Holding this kind of defensive power requires constant effort, constant will. It's exhausting. So why doesn't she just hand that job to someone else and go fight Sauron directly? Because she can't. The moment she stops using Nenya to protect Lothlorien, the protection collapses. Sauron's influence floods in. The Golden Wood falls. Everything she's preserved for 3,000 years dies. This isn't speculation. We see exactly what happens after the One Ring is destroyed. When Sauron falls, the 3 rings lose their power. Nenya stops working, and Tolkien describes what happens to Lothlorien. It begins to fade immediately. The timelessness ends. The protection vanishes. The elves start preparing to leave because they can't maintain the realm without the ring. If Galadriel had left Lothlorien to fight in the war, the same thing would have happened but worse, because Sauron would still be active, and Lothlorien would be defenseless. She's not staying because she's cautious. She's staying because leaving would be a catastrophic strategic mistake. Lothlorien serves multiple crucial purposes in the war. First, it's a refuge. When the Fellowship arrives, they're broken, pursued by orcs, hunted by the Nazgul. Lothlorien gives them time to rest, to heal, to make crucial decisions about where to go next. Without that refuge, the quest fails. Second, it's a stronghold that threatens Dol Guldur, Sauron's fortress in Mirkwood. As long as Galadriel holds Lothlorien, Sauron has to keep forces there to contain her. If she abandons Lothlorien, those forces are freed to attack elsewhere. But Galadriel does fight a direct battle during the War of the Ring. The movies cut it completely, but Tolkien describes it in the appendices. While the Battle of Pelennor Fields is happening at Minas Tirith, Sauron launches a simultaneous attack on Lothlorien. 3 times, Dol Guldur sends armies across the Anduin to assault the Golden Wood. 3 times, Galadriel and the elves of Lothlorien throw them back. Tolkien writes that these weren't small skirmishes. These were major assaults meant to destroy Lothlorien, while the West was distracted, and Galadriel personally led the defense. Not with a sword, with Nenya. She used the ring's power to break the enemy, to drive them back, to protect her people. After Sauron falls, Galadriel crosses the Anduin and leads the elves in storming Dol Guldur itself. They tear down Sauron's fortress, purge southern Mirkwood of evil, and reclaim the forest. This is direct action. This is fighting. But it's not the kind of fighting people imagine when they think of war. It's magical warfare, battles of will and power that don't involve clashing swords. And it's absolutely crucial to the survival of the North. Here's where we need to address the most important scene in Galadriel's story. When Frodo offers her the One Ring, she refuses, but not because she doesn't want it. She wants it desperately. Tolkien describes the temptation as almost overwhelming. She's been fighting Sauron for 3,000 years. She's watched kingdoms fall, watched people she loves die, watched Middle-earth slowly losing the war. And now, here's the weapon that could end it all. The One Ring would give her the power to destroy Sauron utterly. She could become the greatest force in Middle-earth, greater than Sauron ever was. She could create a world of order, beauty, preservation. Everything she's tried to do in Lothlorien, she could do for all of Middle-earth. But she refuses, and Tolkien shows us why in that moment. She says, "I will diminish, and go into the West, and remain Galadriel." This is the crux of everything. Using the ring would make her powerful, but it would also corrupt her. She would become a dark queen, beautiful and terrible, loved through fear and worship rather than genuine respect. Everything she values would be twisted. The power would consume her purpose. This is why she doesn't fight for the ring, because fighting for power, even to defeat evil, risks becoming the evil you're fighting against. Galadriel's decision not to take the ring costs her everything. When she refuses it, she's also accepting what comes next. The One Ring will be destroyed. When that happens, the 3 rings lose their power. Nenya becomes just a piece of jewelry, and Lothlorien, the realm she's protected for 3,000 years, will fade. Everything she's built, everything she's preserved, will be lost. She knows this. She tells Frodo as much. The elves are leaving Middle-earth. Their time is ending. She could have prevented that by taking the ring, by making herself powerful enough to stay. But she chooses to let it go. This is the real sacrifice Galadriel makes in The Lord of the Rings. Not fighting directly, not risking her life in battle. That would have been easier. The real sacrifice is accepting that her time is over, that she needs to step back and let others carry the burden, that holding on to power and immortality in Middle-earth would corrupt everything she stands for. After the War of the Ring, Galadriel sails west to Valinor. She's finally allowed to return to the Undying Lands after being banned for 3,000 years. Her exile is over, but she leaves behind everything she built. Lothlorien will fade. The elves remaining in Middle-earth will diminish. The magic and wonder of the Elder Days will pass from the world. And she accepts this, because some fights aren't won by holding on to power. Some fights are won by knowing when to let go. So why doesn't Galadriel fight directly in The Lord of the Rings? Because she is fighting directly. She's holding Lothlorien against Sauron's will every single day. She's defending against 3 major assaults during the war. She's providing refuge for the Fellowship when they desperately need it. She's tearing down Dol Guldur after Sauron falls. But most importantly, she's fighting the temptation to claim ultimate power, knowing that using that power would make her the very thing she opposes. She's fighting for a world she won't get to live in. That's not weakness. That's strength beyond anything a sword could provide. Galadriel doesn't need to march to Minas Tirith to prove her worth. She's already proven it by doing something far harder than any battle, choosing to let go of power when she could have claimed it all.